The South African commercial vehicle market has seemingly left its woes behind and slowly started to regain its former glory, with an increase of just over 11.7% in total sales for the year to date. Despite a slight decrease in the medium truck market, all of the commercial vehicle categories have seen an upturn in sales numbers. Now joining me in studio to take us through these latest NAAMSA sales statistics is NAAMSA's Executive Director, Nico Vermeulen. Nico, thank you very much for joining us here on the show. Yes, the market actually showing a bit of a rebound. Things are looking positive.
I think we've seen some impressive and encouraging improvement, particularly during the month of May. I mean, medium commercial vehicle sales, May this year on the same month last year, up over 41%. Heavies were up, I think, about 22%. Bus sales were up 127%. That's May 2010 on the same month last year. So that's quite an impressive and dramatic improvement, but it should be qualified. We are comparing ourselves to an artificially low base because this time last year, of course, the impact of the global financial and economic crisis had a major effect on the South African economy. And of course, last year, South Africa was also in recession, recording a GDP growth rate of minus 1.8%.
This time last year, the market was very much in the doldrums and we were all still in panic mode, I guess.
Absolutely. Perhaps I should just add to that, because the peak year was 2007, when this industry sold over 37,000 vehicles. That came down in two short years, 2009, to less than 19,000, more than halved. Effectively, we had a collapse in the market in 2009, and we're seeing a gradual, steady recovery from that low base.
We're not going to get back to the figures that we saw back then in 2007, though, are we?
Not in the immediate future, but we have every expectation, provided the South African economy grows at rates between 4 and 5% in the foreseeable future, that in the next 4 to 5 years we should be able to equal and perhaps even surpass that sort of level. There's a very close correlation between GDP growth rate and new commercial vehicle and bus sales in South Africa. All other things being equal, if the economy grows by between 4 and 5% per annum, we would expect volume sales in commercial vehicles generally between 15 and 20%.
Which would be fantastic. The medium truck market, now we talk about it regularly. I regard it, I suppose, as the lifeblood of the urban areas, but that was down in May.
Obviously, we're seeing at the initial stages of a gradual and steady recovery. Some of the segments will be the subject of consolidation, and the medium segment could possibly be one of those. However, if one looks at the month of May, an improvement of 40% in volumes tells the story all on its own. So hopefully that may continue in the short to medium term.
Yes, very, very much so. The increase just under 30% for the heavy truck market, again, for longer distance and everything else. That's a market that we're always looking at as a focus.
I think there's a number of reasons for that. First of all, pent-up replacement demand by fleet operators. They're starting to replenish their stock. The 5.5% reduction in interest rates since the end of 2008. The improvement in loan finance approvals would have also been a major contributing factor. So I think the circumstances, the environment is coming together to set a good base for future growth for the balance of this year.
You touched on the finance aspect. I mean, from NAAMSA's point of view, do you think we're seeing a major improvement? Is there more confidence from the financial institutions now?
Most definitely. I think South Africa has weathered the global financial crisis rather well. Our financial institutions are in reasonably good shape. It was understandable that during this major time of uncertainty last year, during the severe impact of the global financial and economic crisis on the economy, that financial institutions would cut back on lending and introduce stricter lending criteria. Now that conditions have eased, those loan approval rates are improving. From 1 in 5, it's now 1 in 3, even 1 in 2. So there is a substantial improvement, and that makes life easier for operators as well. Yeah, of course, some of the trucking companies do also provide their own in-house finance facilities.
One of the markets that obviously is very key, especially for the finance, is the extra heavy truck market. We've seen that up for the year to date, in fact, which is a nice thing to see, 17.7%. But that is, we've got all new roads in South Africa at the moment. It's really open for more and more extra heavy transport on our roads, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, dependence on heavy trucks for the transportation of materials and goods will always remain high in South Africa. I know that the authorities are keen to move transportation of products to rail, but the versatility and flexibility offered by the trucking industry, I think, far outweighs the advantages of rail at this stage.
Yes, we're still looking forward to the day when the rail thing is definitely there. Increase of 111% for the buses, but we know obviously there's a lot of supply going on for the Soccer World Cup taking place at the moment. One I do want to touch on is the issue with regards to truck and bus exports. From NAAMSA's point of view, how is that faring at the moment?
The exports of commercial vehicles, trucks and buses, has tended to lag exports on the car and light commercial vehicle side. I think it's a function of growth rates in sub-Saharan Africa and Africa generally. In that regard, the World Economic Outlook projections of the International Monetary Fund, as recently as April 2010, do suggest a substantial improvement in output in sub-Saharan Africa, up from 2.1%, I think it was, in 2009 to something close to 5% this year, and close to 6% the year thereafter. Now that, I think, will precipitate greater demand for South African produced commercial vehicles, but the volumes of exports even in record years has not been that dramatic.
But it is all looking very, very positive, so that's good for the market.
It's looking better, but the total exports in the record year was about 1,200 units out of total domestic sales of 37,000. So that was only about 3.5%.
Things are looking good domestically and for the export market as well. Nico Vermeulen of the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers South Africa, thanks very much for joining us.